For all of you that clicked on this video because you thought I was going to be solo sailing, that's not what this episode's about.
We just know videos with this title get a lot of views, so we figured we'd try it. Now before you get all pissy and change the channel, I'm here to tell you should count yourself lucky. You may still get to see her butt every once in a while. You ever just want to quit your job, buy a boat, sail around the world?
Well, what if we told you that was possible?
I'm Raph.
And I'm Sasha.
With more willpower than money and a dream to become pirates,
We bought a sinking sailboat and spent the next 9 months transforming it
into one of the sexiest boats on the 7 seas.
There is nothing that can get in the way of us sailing around the world.
So grab your popcorn, hit subscribe, and be prepared for one hell of a story.
The story of our lives.
This is the journey of Spirit Animal. What a butt-puckering, crazy, hectic, nerve-wracking, jimmy-rigging, beautiful, amazing adventure that was. Full of freedom, stress, exhaustion, love, and delusion. But we made it to Fort Lauderdale. Right when we arrived, Sasha had to take off and go captain a couple charter boats down in Key West. She left before we talked about whether or not we were going to take this relationship to the next level. And that was probably a good thing because the trip went well. It's easy to make an irrational decision when you get blinded by one of Cupid's arrows, so it's best to let the emotions simmer down a bit so you got a clear mind. We both knew that there was tons of risks involved if we were to join forces as a couple. She'd have to leave her YouTube channel that her and her sister worked really hard to build and then jump on Spirit Animal, which as you can predict, starts out by living full-time with someone you've never lived with on a sinking, moldy, beat-up sailboat. This, my friends, is the ultimate relationship test for even the strongest of couples. The odds were extreme and there was a lot of time and money on the line, so we parted ways with a hug goodbye and pondered on the what ifs. Day one, baby. Gonna go start the rehab. I've got this sucker loaded down, man. We had our catamaran up for sale and docked about 2 miles up the river from where we anchored the monohull. Although we split the down payment 50-50, catamaran was financed in Ben's name, and I couldn't get the financing or find the kind of money to buy this boat from Ben. Now, I'm sitting here with negative $6,000 in my account, waiting for the catamaran to sell so I can afford to rehab the monohull. Not to mention, I also owe Steve $120,000 for loaning me the money for the new boat. Huckleberry Finn back at it again, baby. I got a bigger load this time. Should have seen all the faces of people driving by, man. I look ridiculous. Yacht, 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 yacht. Here I am. I'm just a broke ass sailor right now. And we made it. Another successful trip of not sinking the dinghy. Boy, what a mess. I just showered off the back. At least the water pump is running. And got a couple bean bags here. Nice and comfy, and that is home for the night. Good night. The next day I started going through the boat and bilging out the water. Oh boy. Check out the rig. This sucker is messy. Right now I'm in the bilge, trying to figure out what all this is. Scooping this oil out little by little. I started out by scooping the oil layer off the top of the water because I didn't want to bilge that out into the ocean. Next, I began taking buckets of water and dumping them overboard. Long way to go. It didn't take me long to realize that this was going to take forever. I dumped about 10 buckets of water and the water level never dropped, which told me the entire grid was filled with water, not just a couple compartments. I rewired the bilge a little bit. There was actually a blockage at the manual pump in the back, so I did that a couple times, and this pump is going nuts, just pumping water super fast. I took this off and it sprayed everywhere. but it's been pumping and pumping and pumping. So I'm marking a line. It looks like the water level has not even dropped, and it's been pumping for about, I'd say 10 minutes. I don't know where the water is coming from, but it almost feels like the pump is pumping it back into the bottom of the boat. But it's clearly not. It's running out the back right here. You can see it coming out. It was just a ton of water in the boat. I'm surprised this thing didn't sink, honestly. There's a bunch of sketchy shit that I found. This is why you always get an inspection on the boat, okay? For instance, these sitting in water, rusted to hell, capped with a cork. This thing could go down if someone sneezes. It took over 2 hours for that pump to bilge out all the water. Over the next few days, I started to realize what all this boat is gonna need. Well, first and foremost, it needs new mattresses. Right now, I am sleeping on this beanbag, and it's quite comfortable. However, when it rains, you get a little splash from the sides. Neither of the refrigerators work. It needs a new windlass, new solar panels, bottom paint, and it needs a little bit of engine work too, and a new electric panel. The toilets, they don't work. Sucker needs new batteries, and it probably needs a few other things, but right now there's so much to think about that I just can't name them all off the top of my head. So Sasha had a free week from chartering and wanted to come visit, and I told her it was gonna be really, really brutal. I'm just bailing out water, sleeping on a beanbag, but she was really eager to come see me. I think deep down she really, really missed me. But also, I think she was really drawn to the adventure and wanted to be a part of the project. I've got the tools all organized in this 5th bunk. This is still looking like shit. Still looking like shit. Cinderella getting after it in the 2nd cabin. I got the one on the right side pretty good, but you can see she's just coating the wall. I mean,
Bleach and Dawn.
Bleach and Dawn.
Mildew is not coming back.
Nope, and we are basically mopping the floor to ceiling of this boat and getting out every piece of dust on board. That's still looking like shit. At least we have a clean cabin we can sleep in instead of my bean bags, although they were pretty comfortable. So the cleaning continues. I have rigged up a bilge pump here, and I'm gonna drop this in every hatch and get all the water out.
What?
We got water in every hatch in this boat. Looks like there was some patchwork done on the main beams. So this is concerning. This fiberglass is clearly not factory, and you can tell that these beams have all been patched up pretty heavy. Also, you can see how high the water has been sitting in the bottom of the boat. And unfortunately, this has caused the floorboards to delaminate and rot. They didn't put any holes so that the water can drain down to this main bilge pump. So what we're doing, we got a bilge pump rigged up, and we're pumping the water into this area, which is the main bilge. Okay. So I'm probably gonna have to take up all these cabinets, take them out, drill holes through all these beams so that every hatch flows to this main bilge hole. We got access. And now we can really see if the boat's taking on water. Shitty paint job, that's from not sanding and priming and prepping the surface properly. That's what it gets you if you take shortcuts and do half-ass work. Hello? It's for you.
That's been in there for a while.
Might still be some nudes on there.
Getting the hard
Plug it in. There's no holes here and no holes here. And the most concerning thing about it all is that this entire area has been patched. And this is the part that holds on your keel. So that tells us that at some point this boat has hit the ground so hard it damaged the structure of the hull and possibly the keel. I'm gonna hook up a pressure washer to the fresh water pump and go ham on this. And I don't even care if the floorboards get wet. All the floorboards need to be replaced. I'm just gonna have to eat the cost. I think it's gonna cost like 3 or 4 grand to do. So charge it to the game. We got the trusty old Honda here, the electric pressure washer. I installed a 5 gallons per minute pump, and I've got it tied in directly to our fresh water. So we are about to hose this sucker down.
Let's go. On to side number 2.
Yes, boy. We made some tuna fish
Lunch break.
in this nasty environment with nasty knives and mildewy forks and plates that haven't been washed. Oh boy. Let's hope that those antibody shots did something
real.
for us.
Those vaccines.
Yeah. Update. We've got all the mold off of the inside of this sucker.
Looking good.
It's looking nice and clean. The following week was the Annapolis Boat Show, and Sasha convinced me to join them as a +1. If the boat sank while we were gone, I doubt it'd lose much value. Plus, the trip was only 7 days, and we were only taking on 2 inches of water a day. So, I'm gonna risk it. Sasha told me it'd be an excellent networking opportunity, and it turns out she was right.
Go! Yes, Tom! Yes, Tom! Tom, don't get gaslit! Tom, don't get gaslit!
And this is the part where my right knee goes through the cabinet.
Come on, Tom! Yes, Tom! You got this, Tom! My knee just went through. Come on! Doesn't matter! Come on, Tom!
Then you already lost.
He's getting tired. No. He's getting tired. That's a win! Wore him down. Yes,
That's not good. That's not good.
Jeff is gonna come.
Bill rented this trailer.
So now you are.
I don't have much money, man. What do you want? By the end of the second night, I was arm wrestling with Parlay Revival, getting algorithm lessons from SV Delos, and hanging out with some of the top sailing channels on YouTube. It turns out, many of them have heard of Spirit Animal before. I was that cocky nobody with 500 subscribers who claimed to be the #1 sailing show. Welcome to Spirit Animal. So this, on top of having an Instagram that made me look like a cross between a dumb jock douchebag and a wannabe Jack Sparrow, was a slight handicap. I knew I had to make a good impression, so I decided to make friends and party versus grab the camera and film. By the end of the show, a lot of people seemed to view me in a different light. They wanted to hate me, but they couldn't. I even got a new panel and fixed the cabinet door, so I really gave them no reason to. Back in action. After the show, I was eager to get back to see if the boat was still floating. Me and Sasha had another amazing trip together, but it turns out someone we met at the show was on our flight and they needed a place to stay in Fort Lauderdale for a couple nights. As you know, I have ran into a zillion problems with this boat. I found patchwork all over the place, and who better to bring out to the boat than Colin from Parlay Revival, baby. Yes, boy. This man is gonna diagnose all my problems.
Am I?
You're like a walking Jesus of boats, dude.
I thought we were just going out there for a party.
Yo, we're gonna party.